connect and start to, share some of the content, share some of the behind the scenes of about who we are that's behind this version control effort that we're starting to put out there that people are starting to hear about. That's we're talking to our networks about. And I spoke with Scott recently, and we're talking about kind of his origin story and how he got into presentation design. And I just love to hear more about your origin story and how you got into the design field in general and how you kind of pivoted that to presentation design. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I was actually a photography major in school. Um,
Okay.
I loved photography, had a great college experience with that, never took a single design class. Don't tell my
Wow.
previous employers. um, and when I graduated from college, it was the dot com. So everything was
Hmm.
exploding. They just needed bodies in the seats. They needed people that could do work fast and that kind of thing. So I went from my very first job, photo lab. But after the photo lab, I got a job doing both photography and graphic design and really learned on the job how to do this was at Buyer Clothing Company. It's called BYER in San Francisco, and they made kind of young girl clothes, and we would photograph the models, photograph all of the clothing, and then do all of the design for the website. And I learned so much there under my
Hmm.
boss, and from there went to another gig that was pure graphic design, print, web, all of that stuff. And as I probably was in print and web design for about 10 years, and I ended up just
Okay.
hating it. I did not like it. It felt so like I just didn't want to do it. I would wake up in
Yeah.
the morning and
Yeah.
be like, why am I trying to get people to buy this shit?
Right. Yeah. I
I just
remember
did not
I
care.
had the job doing all the web banners and all the
Yeah,
different
web
weird shapes and
banners,
sizes. Yeah. Hated it.
just not interesting to me. And I think that is what, looking back now, what I lacked was story, right? So
Hmm.
there was nothing, it was just I'd make a little square that would go on a website. There was nothing behind it. There was no, it was
Right.
like, oh yeah, it looks pretty. Okay, next one, it's just not that
Very
interesting to
surface
me.
level. Yeah.
Totally. And so I was working at Zynga, which is a gaming company.
Hmm.
And I was doing all the web and print design stuff too. I was on the brand team, but I worked under a woman, my boss, who to this day, one of my favorite bosses, Aaliyah Song. She came from Dorte. And so she
Okay.
had the presentation background. And I learned so much under her. And we would do all of the presentations for Mark Pincus, the CEO, and do these huge quarterly meetings for the entire company. And that was where I first learned about presentation design. And I never looked back. I
Right.
mean, I've only done presentations since then. And went to doing Facebook events, F8 and Oculus events. And
Hmm.
it was really just, sitting down with a speaker and getting to know what they wanted to tell the audience and then figuring out how to show that visually and how my
Yeah.
visuals could support these people that I found really exciting. And it just felt more cerebral. It was just like, oh, I get to
Right.
actually
Right.
think. It's not just a pretty thing.
That moment when you were moving away from print and digital design and moving into presentation design, what was the shift in terms of like your title, your position? How did you get that presentation design role? Like, was that a former role that existed and you applied into that, or is it something that you kind of carved out?
Well, because it was part of my job within the brand team at Zynga, it was kind of just like
Hmm.
something that we would tackle once a quarter. And
Hmm.
and then the rest of the time we'd be doing like billboards and packaging things and just like it was
Right.
just a lot of variety. And so because I was able to learn on the job there, I was able to then go and start doing freelance presentation design because I understood
Hmm.
what I needed to do there. But the thing that is funny is that I didn't even know PowerPoint at that point in time.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
all Keynote. And
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So, I
Yeah.
actually have a
That's
talk
cool.
coming up at Creative Pro in February.
Nice.
And my talk is all about Google Slides and how
Okay.
to make that jump from PowerPoint. Maybe you have to work in Google Sites for work or for a project or something, and how to best
Mm-hmm.
utilize that. But I'm really trying to focus not on the tool that I'm using, but on just the craft, on the
Right.
the actual telling of the story and everything.